The Hawaiian Airlines Liberty Challenge attracts paddlers from all over the mainland US, Hawaii, Brazil, Canada, Australia, France, Tahiti, and even Panama, making it a truly international event. It's divided into three main categories. The men and women, they race 15 miles, and the mixed crews race a slightly shorter 11-mile course. So let's dive right into the women's and mixed crews events.
So today we're here in New York City for the Hawaiian Airlines Liberty Challenge, where we have teams competing from around the world in an outrigger canoe race in the New York Harbor.
For the East Coast paddlers, it's the premier event. It's a real chance for everybody to come in really challenging conditions.
We as a New York club, we're so incredibly excited to have so many incredibly good paddlers from all over the world here. So one of the biggest things for me is always when I walk through New York and I see people randomly with paddles in their hands walking across Times Square. It's incredibly great, it's incredibly exciting.
People here have never seen an outrigger canoe before, so they just are inquisitive. So it's not uncommon for a large sailboat or powerboat to just come zooming right in next to an outrigger, and they're in the middle of a race.
This race is very competitive because we want to win this race, because it's very important to come back in France with the first place. We want to have the first place, but I don't know, I hope.
The big attraction for outrigger paddling is you don't feel like you're on a team and you just meet a couple times a week and then you go away. And what people do outside of it doesn't really matter. You know, what their politics are, what their backgrounds are, they paddle and they contribute to make the boat do what it needs to do.
Tensions are running high as crews from all over the globe are preparing to battle it out with race favorites, Team Primo from Hawaii.
The men's heat for this race is always really exciting because we get some top teams from around the world. This year especially exciting because we have Team Primo here and everyone's, you know, of course it's great to see those types of athletes. But the other teams as well, they're super exciting. Manawiva, senior masters men, they lead the way every year. And Team Brazil, that's, you know, is going to be good on the water. And then Teva from France, the top paddlers in France.
There are pockets of really high-end athletes in Washington, Boston, New York City. So we're always like looking at each other and marking up within our own East Coast Outrigger Racing Association. So when it brings people from Hawaii and Tahiti, it just takes it to a whole nother level.
And we're very, very excited for this. This is a kind of condition that we are not used to it, and probably going to deal with a lot of things like crossing boats, over 3 knots of current here. We are not used to this.
And we were seeing this morning a women's crew paddling up current and getting swept back. They were just stuck in the middle of the river, going backwards and not knowing if they knew that they were going backwards, you know, because they're fighting as hard as they can.
So you have to manage this, and this is for us exciting. It's a new style of paddling, because in France we have always waves, no currents, and no boat crossing the race.
You know, There's a really long tradition of water sports on the East Coast. There's an old fisherman history. You know, you'll hear all these stories about, you know, the Atlantic crossings and the fishermen up in Massachusetts. Outrigger just fits right into that kind of culture and lifestyle, you know, even though it's Polynesian in descent.
And with our rough rivers, the Outrigger canoe is a really perfect vessel for cruising around. You can't be out here on the Hudson River in a rowing shell. You really need an Outrigger canoe.
The Hawaiian Airlines Liberty Challenge was amazing today. We got to experience something totally different from what we're used to paddling in. Fishing lines that were dodging and ducking, and buoys and boats ripping across the channels, and us having to bob and weave around them.
We're used to back home in Hawaii being the canoes are, you know, priority. Here, it's like a flea on a dog, you know, a canoe, everybody else is the big boss.
It was really hard to keep the timing, and just with the Statue of Liberty so close to you, you know, it was hard not to just look up and want to check it out. It's the closest I've ever been to the statue ever, and it's such an iconic statue that you had to look, you know? You're always told not to look out of the boat, but in this case, I guess it was okay.
Oh, New York experience, there's only one place in the world like New York, so it's be able to come up here and spend a few days here and tie in a canoe race and see the sights and visit the memorial. Pretty awesome.
It's such a great venue to be able to host this race, and everybody who's come to this race has always had a great time and just loves this area. So it's a very important race for us, and we're very happy to put the time and effort to making sure we do it every year.